It had been 50 rotations since the Federation's flagship, the Protector, vanished. Its final logged location was on the far edge of Federation territory, brushing against the unknowns of wild space. Its last message indicated contact with an unidentified ship of unclassified design, and that it was initiating a standard intercept and board maneuver. That was the final transmission ever received from the Protector. Dozens of search fleets were dispatched, scanning sector after sector, beginning from the last known coordinates and gradually widening their search grid. They explored system after system, nothing. Not a trace. Eventually, the mission was deemed a failure. The Protector was labeled officially lost and the search abandoned. The disappearance puzzled many for a time. Beyond the vague report of an unknown ship, there were no real clues. No wreckage, no signal, no distress beacon. For a while, we simply didn't know. Not until 5 rotations ago. A recon scout, returning from a deep-range sweep, detected a lone escape pod some 50 light-years off from where the Protector was last tracked. Inside, they found one survivor, Commander Zorp, the ship's first officer. He had placed himself in stasis, likely due to insufficient supplies to survive in real time. The crew revived him and brought him straight here to my outpost. At first, I was eager to begin debriefing him. But he couldn't speak. Not truly. Was frozen in fear, unable to form complete sentences. The only coherent thing he managed to whisper was a reference to a strange symbol. That was for rotations. I go each day since. I've waited for him to recover, waited for answers. And each time I approached, he would begin to talk, only to crumble midway through his first words. Until today, something changed today. Today he finally gathered the strength to speak. To truly speak. After all this time, we were finally going to hear the truth, finally going to solve the mystery of what happened to the Protector. Rotation date, logged, year 1011, rotation 105, Central Federation calendar, the analyst dictated into the recorder. Commander Zorp will now recount the events that led to the Protector's disappearance. The analyst gave a small nod toward Zorp, who leaned in hesitantly, his voice barely audible. It was a routine. Speak clearly into the recorder, the analyst interrupted, and start with the date. I shifted slightly in my chair. I won't lie, was getting impatient. But the analyst was just following protocol. The date Zorp repeated was rotation 105, year 1011, Federation calendar. We detected an unidentified vessel unknown design, small, no more than 50 shans in length. The Protector is 1,000 shans. The thing could have docked in one of our cargo bays. He paused, hands shaking a little, then pressed on. It was supposed to be simple. Standard capture and inspect mission. Disable the ship, haul it inside, scan it, analyze the tech, interrogate any crew, then let them go if they pose no threat. Routine stuff. He swallowed hard. But disabling that ship was not routine, not even close. It was absurdly agile. I mean, yeah, ships that small can be nimble, but the way this one moved, it was like it knew our every shot. And the weapons he stopped again, gripping the edge of the table. Small should have been capable of that kind of force. He paused, steadying himself again before going on. That thing hit like a warship half the size of the Protector, not one barely a 20th. Its mass. Honestly, the captain nearly called the whole op off. We barely managed to disable it in time. Another volley or two, I swear the captain would have pulled us out. He went quiet again. I was just about to prompt him when the analyst stepped in. Continue. Commander Zorp's eyes locked onto mine, as if silently begging for a reprieve. But I didn't waver, and after a moment, he pressed on. We brought the vessel aboard. The breach crew started cutting through its hatch. Even that took way longer than it should have. It's way more resistant than any alien hull we'd ever encountered. Eventually, we got the door open, and the boarding party moved in. Zorp looked at me again, haunted. They were the first to die. He swallowed. Each operative had a live feed transmitting back to the bridge. I was watching it all with the captain. First, there were flickers barely visible. A shape, maybe. Something. Moving. Humanoid. Bipedal. But it was fast. So fast, it vanished before we could get a good look. The team spread out, trying to sweep the ship quicker. That's when we lost the first signal. Just gone, no gunfire, no screams, no motion alerts, just silence. Entered a chamber and the feed blinked out. We sent another to check. Same thing, no contact. Zorb took a deep breath, trembling. We dispatched the rest to investigate. Half reached the spot first. Nothing, nothing, I echoed. Nothing, he confirmed. The room was silent, dark, still. No signs of a fight, no traces of the missing crew, just a mostly empty space. With a few dimly glowing control panels. No movement, no hostiles, nothing. He paused again just a second too long. Not for drama, just steadying himself. Then his eyes turned to me again, and then they sprung the trap. Everything changed in an instant. Group had entered, lit up. Not just that room. Either the whole damn vessel seemed to power on at once. Lights flared. Systems came online. A hum rippled through the hull, and then we lost the second half's feeds. But not silently this time. It wasn't like before. We heard them screams, panicked shouting, bursts of gunfire. Not just through their helmet comes, but from the hangar. Bay's internal surveillance. It caught everything, alarms, chaos. The first group pushed forward to link up with them, but it was too late. They were already dead, and the enemy didn't hide this time. Their feeds went dark one by one, but not. Before I saw it, just one, it stood upright. It's 2 legs, 2 arms, humanoid. Mostly covered in black armor maybe, or some kind of uniform. Skin. Pinkish dawn, unlike anything we'd cataloged before, but what I'll never forget, what froze me in place, were the eyes white. A faint blue ring. Black center. Not on the sides of the head like most sapient beings. No, these were forward-facing. The eyes of a predator, and they were locked on me. Well, not me exactly, the soldier whose helmet cam I was. Watching. But I swear, it felt like those eyes cut right through the feed. Commander Zorp stopped then, breathing heavily. Deep, rasping breaths like he'd just woken from a nightmare. But this wasn't a dream. It had happened. Is every second of it. Feed died after that. Just cut. And that's when the ship powered up again. It shouldn't have every diagnostic. Every scan before that showed it as completely offline. Dead. He shook his head slowly. But then it opened fire. Inside our ship, from inside the hangar bay, can you imagine that? It's insanity. Hangar's automated turrets responded instantly, pouring fire back into it. But it was over fast. Less than 5 seconds, maybe. And then it exploded. The blast tore through. Everything ripped the hangar open, shredded the communications arrays, destroyed the FTL drive and half the decks nearby. He exhaled again. Damage control sealed the sections quickly. We didn't lose too much air, but the damage, it was done. I finally spoke. When we found you in the pod, he kept repeating something about a symbol. You couldn't explain, but it clearly meant something. What was it? He nodded, eyes distant. A piece of the hull was flung out during the blast, landed on a corridor 2 decks over. On it was a marking. Something etched in. Can you draw it? I asked. He nodded again. A tech handed him a pad and stylus. His hand trembled, but after a moment he passed it to me. I studied the symbol. I didn't recognize it, but there was something purposeful in its design. This wasn't random. Mattered to whoever made that ship or piloted it. I turned to my assistant. Scan this, load it into the database, and run a full pattern analysis. He took the pad and left, and I turned back to Zorp. Go on. He hesitated, swallowed hard, then spoke again. We thought it was over. Strange, terrifying, violent, but over. Another pause, longer one. Ask ChatGPT. Started? I asked. Like everything so far had been routine. Commander Zorp met my gaze again and nodded solemnly. It began with little things. A missing plasma torch from engineering, an armor's lock vanishing, a data rod gone from its port. We assumed crew exhaustion. The damage was extensive and people were pushing themselves hard. Misplacing tools made sense. He paused, then continued. But then the anomalies grew. The main computer dropped 2% in efficiency. We thought it was just load strain from repairs. But then, life support began malfunctioning, section by section. Not shutting off, just ... altering. Oxygen dropped to 20%. Carbon dioxide crept to 0.005. Helium got replaced by nitrogen and argon. Humidity plummeted. We tried to reset to Federation standard. It reverted every time. Even rebooting the core systems didn't help. At first it looked like it worked. Readings normalized, but we knew something was wrong. The air didn't feel right. It's when it hit me something primal. That feeling you get when you know you're being hunted. I said nothing. I knew exactly where this was going. By the time we understood, it was too late, Zorp said. It all spiraled after we restored the FTL drive. Captain, immediately, ordered a jump to the nearest Federation outpost. Should have taken 1 cycle. But after 1 full cycle in FTL no outpost, nothing in range. Checked, double-checked. It wasn't drift or nav error. We were going in the opposite direction. Deliberately, we initiated a full audit of the main computer. That's when we found the footage. He leaned forward, voice hushed. Just before their ship exploded, 5 of them escaped. During the chaos, they slipped into Protector, used the detonation as cover. Captain ordered a system purge wipe. The mainframe and restore from the pre-contact backup, but they knew. They stopped hiding. The system went berserk. We watched, helpless, as the computer pulled up everything. Every classified doc, cultural file, species database, it dumped it all into one location, Deck 5. Captain ordered immediate sweep. Find them. Capture or eliminate. Jaw tightened. But the soldiers never reached Deck 5. They were ambushed en route. After that, the bipeds went on the attack. They took the ship 1 level at a time. Anyone who hadn't evacuated was knocked out with a single blast. No resistance. The captain gave the final order, abandon ship. But they were ready. They knew. They intercepted us on the way to the escape pods. The captain shouted for us to break through, to run. We didn't make it. I frowned. None of you escaped, but you're here. No, General. Zorp said quietly. I made it farthest. I reached the pod. I was inside. Then, he took a slow, shaking breath. One of them grabbed me, yanked me back. Me into the wall. I leaned forward slightly. It stared at me. Through me. Those eyes white, ringed in blue, with that black center. Predatory, cold, soul-piercing. I swallowed and then... Salarian. How they knew to speak my native language, I still can't explain, but I'll never forget what it said. What did it say? I asked. Well, sir, it left a message. For you? Me? I replied, startled and more than a little uneasy. Well, for command in general, Commander Zorp clarified. But the biped said exact words. Mind you, we don't know why you attacked us. But tell your superiors it won't happen again. He paused. Then it shoved me into the escape pod and launched it. Sir, they saw our standard seasoned investigate protocols as hostile. As war, I stayed quiet, and at first, Zorp continued. I thought the message was simple: stay away. Don't provoke them again. But, spit it out, Commander. I could already feel the dread curling in my stomach. I didn't want to hear it, but I had to. He hesitated, and I've had time to think. Their ship, their wreck-it, was built for more. Based on the logs and structural capacity, it should have held more than 5, at least double that. My throat tightened. I believe, I know. They didn't just see us as aggressors. I think we killed some of them. During the explosion, so when that biped said it wouldn't happen again, didn't mean our warning. He meant theirs. Zorp's voice faltered now. Sir, I don't think they're telling us to stay away. I think they're promising to come back. He looked up, eyes dark with certainty. They're coming. The next 3 rotations were anything but routine. Supplies moved in bulk. Patrol units cycled constantly. Commander Zorp was recalled to Central, command for debriefing and to deliver his full account of the bipedal threat. I submitted immediate mobilization orders, activate reserve forces. accelerate warship production, and retrofit all fleet vessels for wartime duty. Command approved the measures without question, but when asked which sector to deploy to first, I had no answer. Neither did Zorp. We didn't know where the bipeds had come from, no clue what systems they called home, no estimates on how many of them existed, how many ships they could bring. We didn't even know for sure if they would retaliate, but if they did 5 of them, one small ship. They brought down the Federation's flagship, over 500 crew members lost, and that was before they even knew who we were. Everything about us from the Protector's database. They probably had more than enough time to reverse engineer our tech, study it, and learn the ins and outs of our most advanced systems. And us. We had nothing, just Commander Zorp's account. That symboled sleep was rare in those days. Looking back, we should have seen this long before the Protector went silent. The Seize and Investigate order was always one of the Federation's most debated practices. Critics called it hostile, a breach of interstellar rights. Even supporters couldn't deny that. Their defense was always security above all. The Federation was unmatched in technological strength. Other species protested, sure, but none could stop us. Arrogance made us blind. We never asked what would happen if we encountered a race stronger than us. What if the first thing they experienced from us was that? Ironically, I'd raised this very concern once back at the Academy years ago. I'd been against the policy then, but time dulled my judgment. I came to believe it was a cruel necessity, a burden we bore for the Federation's safety. Only now did I realize my younger self had been right. The doctrine would be our downfall. We just never knew when, but 3 rotations passed. No. Ships came, no invasion. I allowed myself to hope. Maybe the worst was behind us. Life returned to a version of normal. Extra patrols. A defense fleet parked in orbit. A few heavy cruisers anchored near my outpost. The date was rotation 158, cycle 10 to 11, Central Federation calendar. I was finishing my shift when a voice called out, "Sir," and ensign waved me over. "We've got 12 unknown vessels inbound." 8. Chill ran through me. They're still a few light years out, but closing fast. Our outposts couldn't ID them, but we did get a symbol match. "A symbol?" I asked. She nodded. "It's classified." I walked to her console and entered my override code. The image appeared. That feeling returned. Same creeping dread, like being stalked by something older and stronger than you. But this time, it wasn't a report. It wasn't someone else's story. It was real. It was happening. "Now, double quote, sir, what are your orders?" the ensign asked. "Send a priority signal to command. Tell them it's begun." Comes lit up. Messages raced toward command. Then, one technician turned. "Face pale, sir. We're being jammed." "Why now?" my second-in-command asked. I hadn't moved. I couldn't stop staring at the screen. At that symbol, the same one burned into the hull of that alien vessel. The one discovered by the Protector's fated crew. But this wasn't one ship. It was 12, and they all bore the mark. I still didn't know what the symbol meant. But I understood what it promised. Retribution, and despite everything training, rank years of command I couldn't speak. "Sir," my officer asked again. For the first time in my entire career, I had no answer.